Hello! We have two longer stories today from one author's PettyRevenge collection while we say hello to Switzerland. This is going to be our first video of the new format where each video will have beautiful scenery from different countries or places around the world. With a little teaser at the start, of course, playing on the old CC tube. We actually have 8 short stories today from the newly enlisted Chef Petty Officer Nate, because the folks over at PettyRevenge didn't get enough with only one serving of the revenge this master chef dished out to his most outrageously entitled customers. Let's eat in Story 1. I'll start by saying I take my career and food safety very seriously. Even if I was livid over a customer, I would never do anything gross, dirty, harmful, etc. to their food, and I would shut down someone else trying to. I prefer my revenge to be petty, but noticed. The restaurant I work in is located in an upscale area. As a result, our customer base is full of entitled, elitist, insufferable people most days. If you have a problem with your food, that's fine. But if you're a jerk or being petty, you'll get served by Chef Petty, the king of petty. The crouton debacle. This pair of older women came in, were immediately rude to the hostess and server from what I was told. The server did come to give me a heads up that they seem like a problem. Sure enough, they each start with a Caesar salad and send it right back. Their reason? Some of the croutons were big and some were small, and they'd like croutons that were all roughly the same size. Heard, I put the new salads in the window. One had equal-sized very large croutons. One had equal-sized very small croutons. Like, smaller than a sugar cube. Apparently they learned not to be petty because they shut up and ate them. In a pickle over pickles. We had a gentleman come in and order one of our burgers. He said extra, extra, extra pickles. We normally do 3, so each extra was 3 more. 12 total. When it went to his table, he said he wanted more. I gave him 3 more. He sent it back. At this point, it was time to shut this nonsense down. I took off all the pickles and scooped through the pickle bucket to find 20 to 25 of the smallest slices I could find. All about dime-sized. Loaded his burger up and it didn't come back. For reference, his original 12 pickle order was more than these 20 to 25 pickles. Could I get some more onions? This regular always comes in and orders her burger with an obnoxious amount of onions. Normally we do 2 rings. She always initially asks for about 30, no BS. Then proceeds to send the server back 3 to 4 more times for a small plate of about 15 more. It's disgusting. One day, we were busier than usual when she tried to pull this. Rather than have to keep stopping to accommodate her, I took the biggest red onion we had and pushed it through the slicer. Without separating the rings, I put the entire onion on her plate. The server laughed her tail off when the lady left without even touching any of the onion. Apparently, she took great joy in making the server run back and forth, and that was a buzzkill for her. What am I supposed to do with this? We had a regular nightly customer place the same order for pickup 15 minutes before close every night for 4 months straight. We hated her because she treated all staff she dealt with like trash, made ridiculous demands, then, no matter what, would send it all back to be refired even though nothing was ever wrong with the order. One particular thing she'd do is order 6 shrimp pasta dishes and request 3 additional portions of shrimp for each one. But she didn't want the shrimp on top like it comes. She wanted it on the side. No big deal, other than how she wanted it. She didn't want it all together. She didn't even want the 4 total portions for each order together. Nope. She wanted each of the 4 portions for each of the 6 orders separately packaged. That takes a long time to do, way more than necessary, all because she gets off on being difficult. So I wasn't having it one night. We knew she was coming, so all total, I knew I needed 288 shrimp, which she got, individually packaged in 288 ramekins. She was livid. She said, "What am I supposed to do with this?" GM said make sure they're all there, so she proceeded to count 288 ramekins as I watched from the kitchen with a grin. After that, she had no problem allowing us to start packaging it the way it was made to be. She even started tipping and then eventually stopped coming. Wins all the way around. In the comments, Tomaska said, "Putting all the shrimp separately in ramekins, brilliant. This is the way." OP replied, "Thank you. My boss says pettiness is my hidden talent." Ha, LOL. Okie dokie said, "That crouton request is killing me." OP replied, "These people make so many ridiculous requests for no reason. One lady wants her burger on a square plate instead of a round one. One guy wants his salad on a plate instead of in a salad bowl. One lady asked if we could make her fries less crispy. I said tell her to go to Five Guys if she wants soggy fries." Mermaid Paint said, "I feel like a hobo because I've never checked my croutons to make sure they were the same size." OP replied, "Nobody does. That's psychopath behavior. LOL. These people. I just don't understand how people like this find enjoyment in making other people's lives so difficult. And I think they get an extra kick out of it because when people are at work, they can't do anything about it. But not on Chef Petty's watch. I think this OP has to be one of my all-time favorites. It's like he is retraining one petty customer at a time with his recipe of culinary malicious compliance. Our second story came just days later after Chef Petty's coronation as the new king of petty revenge. The subjects of this new kingdom of pettiness demanded more, and the chef rolled up his sleeves, slicing and dicing to whip up another 4 servings of justice and amusement that left patrons humbled and staff victorious. Story 2. I didn't expect the overwhelming response my last post received about petty revenge as a chef. I've been doing this for years, so there is definitely no lack of stories to share. I initially shared only 4 stories because it was getting too lengthy at that point. So many people asked for more. So I say sharing is caring. I think it's a good idea to keep it at 4 stories per post so nobody has to spend an obnoxious amount of time on one post. With that being said, let the festivities begin. I like my wings to crunch like a beetle under my shoe. Cook 'em hard. This was the message delivered verbatim from an older gentleman who came in 3 to 4 times a week. Every visit, his wings would be cooked beyond recognition. He'd complain every single time, leave a bad review, etc. Quite frankly, we were all sick of his garbage. Wings normally go in the fryer for 4.5 minutes. Cooks were always doing his at 9 minutes, assuming it was good. He was never happy, but he caught me on a high-level petty day. This happened an hour after the onion burger lady from my previous post. The server came back and said, "Nate, wing guy is here." So I immediately dropped his wings. He ordered his usual Caesar salad and drink while he waited. Then, when he was finished, he put his wing order in with the message that was delivered to me. They'd been down over 11 minutes at this point. I told the server to let him know it would be a while. By the time I pulled them, you couldn't recognize what they were supposed to be. You couldn't distinguish bone from meat from skin, and the meat was fried so thoroughly that ripping the wings from the fry basket with the tongs was a chore in itself. I plated them, put his sriracha on the side he liked, and sent them out the window. They fried for 30 minutes. As the server grabbed them, I said, "Please let me know what he thinks." After a while, she said watching him attempt to eat them was worth all the prior hassle. He ended up needing to use a serrated steak knife to cut the meat on hot wings. She said when he asked for the check, he hadn't even eaten half the order, and tried to play it off by saying, "I guess I wasn't as hungry as I thought." She said when he was chewing them, it sounded like someone chewing on a mouthful of gravel. But no complaints, no bad review, and while he still stopped by, he no longer ordered the wings, and was always pleasant with the staff. "I want blood running down my face," she said as she ordered her burger extra rare. She'd never been here before, but spent a solid 15 minutes verbally assaulting front of house staff. It was a preemptive tirade about how nobody around here knew how to cook a burger the way a customer wants it. She was literally attacking the staff for the failures of other restaurants. So the server comes on the line and said, "Nate, this lady is a miserable witch. Whether you cook that burger as raw as she wants or she complains and I hit her in the nose, she's definitely leaving with blood running down her face." I said, "I got you, fam. Let chef. So before I grabbed a patty, I grabbed a save-a-day and a squeeze bottle of water. I dropped the patty on the flat top, squeezed some water around it, and held the save-a-day over it for roughly 3 seconds. The steam would make the edges appear cooked. Then, I flipped the patty and counted to 3, and assembled the softest dang burger I've ever touched. For giggles, I temped it 61 degrees. A rare burger is 120 degrees. So I chuckled and thought, perfect, extra rare. My logic being extra rare must be halfway to rare. I almost hit it on the money. My server gagged watching the blood drip down and soak into the bottom bun and took it to the table. Before anyone points it out, I'm aware that's myoglobin and not blood, but explaining it to customers is pointless. A few minutes later, she comes in the back, dry heaving. She's like, I can't. She said that lady started off eating it like it was good, with that mashed potato texture. Ew, gross. Then she was like, she has blood and bits of raw beef on her chin, and keeps eating. I'm gonna throw up. She said based on the lady's calm demeanor, she thinks she quickly realized she got what she wanted and discovered she didn't actually want it. She only ate about half and told the server to let me know it was perfect. Then she paid and left. A few days later, she came back. Same server said, same as last time? She's like, yes, but can you ask for it to be less rare and more medium rare this time? Absolutely, however you like. I feel like your kitchen is making fun of me. No, sir. We're perfecting your order. There was a guy who used to come in every night 20 minutes before close and order a rare ribeye with extra garlic butter and a Caesar salad with lots of croutons and lots of dressing. At first, we quickly realized he had a suspicious obsession with the bartender who worked 6 nights a week. She was very good looking, never wore a bra even though she didn't lack in the chest, and was always ready to cut glass. He would sit at the bar for over 90 minutes watching her as he ate, and repeatedly created things to be mad about, just to watch her walk back and forth and extend his visit. The things he complained about were nitpicky. He'd complain the steak was too rare or closer to medium rare. It never was. It always temped perfect every time. So we'd send out the same steak and he'd love it. He wanted extra garlic butter, but no matter how many ramekins we sent out, it was never enough. We're talking upwards of 20 sometimes. Then the salad never had enough dressing. It's a small side salad, and he'd already dumped the equivalent of 2 cups of dressing on it. Also, even with a massive handful of croutons, he'd send her back for more. Then she quit about a year into him coming there. It took him a good week to realize she wasn't coming back. But if he quit coming, he'd expose himself as the creep we already suspected him of being. So he kept coming, but his visits went from every night to once a week. If we had a male bartender, his meal was mysteriously perfect. But when our Latina bartender, who could stop traffic with her looks, was working, he'd go right back to his old routine. He shows up one night, and they said, rare ribeye guy is here. Don't let me down, guys. Heard. His ribeye was cooked with a thermometer in it from start to finish. It was plated perfectly temped, thermometer still in it, with our picture and temp guide for steaks delivered with the plate. His extra garlic butter? Ice cream scoop full right on top. My favorite coworker, who I trained and later brought on as my sous chef, earned her spot that night. Unprompted, she put a mountain of croutons on his salad and sent it out with a full 12-ounce bowl of Caesar dressing. It was delivered to him at the bar with a smile. He looked mortified as he looked up at the bartender and said, I feel like your kitchen is making fun of me. After that, he continued to stop by, but he never asked for anything extra again. And if his steak wasn't perfect, we never heard a word about it. Is it okay if me and my husband split all this instead of ordering 2 meals? Absolutely. Here's the thing. Certain items like burgers, steaks, etc. can be easily split, and we do it regularly for people. But we were specifically told by the kitchen manager not to split anything that was an odd number, and the servers were to let them know that those meals could not be split. One night, a husband and wife show up and want their meal split. The problem is, they want to split a meal that can't be split. But I was in a mood. I was like, it's cool, I got this. It'll give me a chance to work on my creative skills. Then the server said one more thing. She said the wife said they wanted to share a 6-ounce sirloin, but they wanted it half rare, half well done. I was like, you realize she said share, not split, right? She grinned and said, I do. I'm sure you'll figure it out. I knew what they meant, but I was more focused on what they said. So rather than drop the steak on the flat top, I held it with tongs and started cooking from one end up, pressing a weight on one side while I held the other off the heat, working the edges, and when roughly half the steak was well done, I laid the rest down and cooked it perfectly rare. I put a rare tag on the rare side and a well done tag on the well done side. Then put it in the window. Front of house was gathering to take pictures as they laughed, and I got to work on the rest of their split meal. Street corn, cut in half lengthwise. Half rack of ribs, which is 5 ribs and can't be equally split, got the heavy-duty knife treatment, sawing across the bones for equal portions. I cleaned thoroughly to remove any fragments, then sent it through the oven, sauced it up, and plated it. Garlic toast, cut in half. Dressing for their side salad, half a ramekin each. 5 boneless wings, 2.5 each. She said when she brought it to the table, the wife, the talker and Karen of the relationship, was visibly confused, while the husband let out a deep chuckle and said, I love this place. Apparently, he was also tired of his wife's attitude and a big fan of the malicious compliance. She said he also took a picture of the steak because he was so overjoyed by how comical it was. As a chef, I will always take my job seriously and never mess with your food in a harmful, unsanitary, or bad way. But I believe in giving people what they ask for when they so aggressively insist on it. In the comments, someone said, I'm hungry, chef, and the only thing that will satisfy is more Petty. OP replied, who needs cowbell when you've got Petty? Ha! LOL. Large client quoting, as a chef, I will always take my job seriously and never mess with your food in a harmful, unsanitary, or bad way, said, I absolutely agree. I have occasionally given the impression something might be off. A boss tells you to make their coffee after chewing you out for someone else's mess? Make the coffee perfect, then say, do you really trust my coffee after what you just did? Or bake cookies for a cookie thief and say, this is a special batch just for you. Don't share them with anyone else. OP replied, exactly. It's like someone commented on my other post. You can be petty and still be safe. I don't care if it's the worst customer in the world and they threaten me personally. Messing with someone's food is something I would never do. It's repulsive, it's beneath me, and any chef who doesn't agree needs to burn their jacket. Atomic Playboy said, I love how in part 1 and part 2 each of the stories have a happy ending, with most customers realizing that they are being jerks and change their ways. Keep them coming. OP replied, thank you. I think that's why my coworkers appreciate me going the extra mile to be petty. Every time I respond this way, it shuts that nonsense down and it's a stress-free zone. I love dishing up life lessons. The cherry on top here is that Chef Petty is an amazing chef with epic skills, and that is why he's able to deliver on these teachable moments. I can barely cook a steak the way I like it. Never mind intentionally cooking half a steak rare and the other half well done. Chef Petty is making all of these entitled customers eat their words. Literally. And it is a thing of beauty. Chef's kiss. And that's it for today. Until next time, shine bright, Starlight. Yahoo! If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.